Hey guys, Chris Timms here. Let's talk about the album that completely changed my life. That album is AC/DC's The Razor's Edge. Guys, 27 years later, and this album for me is still absolutely fantastic. And I guess the album for me has a lot of fond memories, as it's also the album that inspired me to pick up the guitar and start my musical journey. It was back in early 1990. I was only 7 years old at the time. And I remember it was one Saturday morning. I was flicking through the TV, and I guess back in those days, probably not so much now. I was more of an early morning riser. I loved getting up early and putting the TV on and watching music videos. And one of my favorite shows back in those days was Rage. Back then, I never missed a Saturday morning. I always made sure that I got up and watched it. I was always around music growing up. You know, my mum and dad have an awesome record collection. One of the albums that stood out for me that Dad showed me was Paul McCartney's The Wings, the album Band on the Run. I really loved that album. I really loved the title track, which was really cool. You know, Mum showed me things like ABBA and Saturday Night Fever, and it was all really, really cool stuff. But it's when I was introduced to AC/DC. That's when a love of music really took hold, and I really had to pick up guitar. So it was this particular Saturday morning, Rage decided to play the first single from The Razor's Edge, which is, you guys might know as Thunderstruck. And when that intro lick kicked in, man, my jaw just absolutely hit the floor. I was completely captivated by the sheer raw power of AC/DC's sound, and I couldn't get enough of it. My mind was blown. It was completely blown. You know, I was really drawn to Angus Young because for me, being a school kid, and seeing Angus up there on stage, rocking the schoolboy uniform and that Gibson SG guitar, I could just totally relate to what was going on there, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. When that music video finished, I went to Mum and Dad and I said, I want to start guitar. When I first said that to them, they didn't take it too seriously. It's like, oh yeah, no worries, we'll see, thinking that it was going to be, a fad for me. But I couldn't let that go. I asked again, and I asked again. And finally, after begging, they finally decided to enroll me into guitar lessons. But it was with one condition, and the condition was, right, you can do this, Chris, but you have to make sure that you do it for at least a year. And that was the deal I made with my parents, and I agreed to it. They bought me my first acoustic guitar, which was like a 3/4 size acoustic starter guitar, classical guitar with nylon strings. Unfortunately, to this day, I don't have that guitar anymore. I had a bit of an accident, a tumble off a guitar stand and snapped in two, so sadly don't have that anymore. But it was amazing, and here I am 27 years later and still playing guitar, still studying music. Whenever I listen to this album, or whenever I listen to these guys in general, it takes me back to being that 7-year-old who wanted to pick up guitar for the first time. And whenever I get to play a gig and I play an AC/DC song, or when I'm doing guitar lessons and I'm teaching a kid how to play Back in Black for the first time, or even that intro lick to Thunderstruck, it takes me back to that time. And it's really all thanks to my parents starting me off, agreeing to buy me that first guitar, and my guitar teachers and Rage, and of course these guys for releasing fantastic albums over the years, because if it wasn't for all them, I may not be playing. One of my favorite gifts that I was ever given, Christmas gift, is this right here, AC/DC Thunderstruck, and I love up the top here as well. That's one of my favorite live albums, actually, AC/DC Live at Donington. Fantastic live album if you haven't checked that out. And you know, this one here, this hangs up in the studio, right against some of my other heroes. Really cool to draw inspiration when you're working in the studio from some of your heroes. So guys, thank you so much for letting me share my story with you today on the album that changed my life and the one that got me into music. If you like this video, feel free to hit that subscribe button. There's more cool content coming on the way, and of course, if you haven't checked it out already, christimsmusic.net is my official website. Thanks guys for letting me share my story today, and I'll chat to you soon.